Welcome back to the Myth and Precious channel, where we make all the nerdy things and tell you how we did it. If you like what you see on the channel, make sure you slide down there and hit that thumbs up button. It only takes a second, and you probably have no idea how much it helps the channel out. We sell our fun items under three brand names: Nemesis Gear, Steampunked Out, and Knox Hollow. And we are back in the Knox Hollow wood shop continuing our series of new wands. We had 8 new woods a few weeks back, and I'm still working on getting all the videos done for you. We only have 2 more woods to go, and this wood is Aspen. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to do Aspen in the first place. It's a very soft wood. It's very pale, not quite as white as holly, but it's super soft, and that really can make it difficult to work. This is one of the woods where you want the sharp tools as usual, but on this one you have to be very careful with a catch because a catch can not only gouge the wood badly, but it can definitely cause a break. This stuff is feather light. I when I was done with the wand on this one, I pulled it off, and it almost didn't weigh anything. So, it is a nice looking wood, and we do have some people who are interested in all the different woods, and so I do plan on keeping this around by for requests and stuff. I'll keep a couple in stock. As usual, for the process here, we are going to do 2 wands in this video. So make sure after you see the final photos of the the wand we're working on now, that you stick around for the second process. For the first part of the process, all I'm doing is getting the wand into the round, taking all the corners off, and then I'll turn the blade of the wand down to about the size of a Sharpie. And then I'll work that way. I can work it up into the chuck. And I also know that it will fit all of our wand holsters, which we also sell. And then when I'm done with the basic shaping of the wand, I'll put the taper on off camera. But the first part of the process, I usually do this in about 2 steps. I get it down to about the size of a Sharpie, and then feed it up into the chuck jaws as far as it'll go. That way I can have less unsupported wood. And with a soft wood like this, the more that I can get in there, the better. You definitely don't want this rattling around in there with the wood flexing and stuff, as it's very soft and it will flex and do some stuff. So it's not my favorite wood to work with. But it wasn't too bad overall. I wasn't super happy with because it's so soft. The sanding on it, it doesn't seem to get. You can't really polish it up past, I would say, 320, maybe a 500 grit, and then you pretty much don't see any difference. When I held this in my hand, it still felt like it needed to be a little bit sanded more. And I think it's especially since I've been working on some more dense woods that polish all the way up to 2000 grit. You can certainly feel the difference on it. It's not rough or anything. It's just the texture of it. You can tell. It just doesn't feel quite as smooth. So, anyways, we're gonna keep on moving through this, working on the shaping and stuff here. And while we're watching this, I do want to remind you can become a member supporter for as little as $1 a month. You can support the channel. We do have some different level options as well. Some of the levels will include some discounts on my shops, as well as working on getting enough people so that we can get that Discord server set up. And hopefully we'll be doing some live feeds. We can do some question and answer and stuff like that as well. On the shaping in this, the handle itself, I tried to go with a fairly simple design, but I wanted to try some different things on this. The good thing about Aspen is it does sand pretty easily, so it doesn't really clog up the sandpaper. It's so soft, it goes pretty quickly. Although, again, sanding, it always takes way more time. I always cut out, a lot of what I cut out is sanding, but it's just easier to leave the video recording. So it does friction burn rather nicely, but because it's so soft, the wire friction burning is great, but due to the softness, it doesn't do so well with the torch because it burns so quickly and so much of it comes off. Um, but I did slow this down. I wanted to show you this is just a sample board that I've made that has all the different woods on it. And as you can see, the aspen, I've got three different versions: one with a torch, one with the ebonizing fluid, and then one with bleach. I did torch, ebonizing fluid, and bleach on every one of the woods, and that way I can refer to it and get an idea. Of course, you never know for sure until you actually try it on the wood itself. And to be honest, I wasn't really sure if the color that I was getting from this was actually from a reaction on the ebonizer, or it was just the ebonizer. With these really pale white woods, usually they don't react very much. Um, and, so, we'll try different stuff and see what works and what doesn't. But we are gonna try the Ebonizer on this, and, but first I've gotta get this parted, get the wand parted off the tenon here, and then we'll get into some ebonizing. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, an ebonizing fluid is it's basically iron acetate, and you make that with quadruple out steel wool, and you soak that in just distilled white vinegar, and let that sit for several days. And what'll happen is the um, steel wool will dissolve in there and react with the vinegar, and then I filter it out with a coffee filter, and that solution will react. I believe it reacts with tannin in the wood, but it does kind of have a rusty color to start with. So as you can see here, it looks really rusty with the ebonizing fluid, and it doesn't have a steep reaction. It did darken up some with some time, so it's not. I think it did have a little bit of a reaction, but overall, that kind of reddish color. I'm thinking a lot of the color just had to do with the stain, just of the ebonizing fluid itself, and less to do with the reaction. So, but anyways, here you can see the final wand came out pretty good. It's got a nice even grain to it. Not nothing too terribly fancy. It is a very pale white wood. But as you can see, even just putting in the chuck dot jaws kind of crimped it a little bit. So sanding that taper and stuff on there helps take that out. But you can see here with the oil on it, it does darken it up and bring out some grain in the wood, but just a stupidly soft, light wood. I mean, it's not quite as soft as like balsa wood or something. But if you've ever used those that craft wood in the store, the little ready-made planks and stuff, a quarter inch thick and stuff, it's softer than that, and I think that's basswood, so it's pretty soft. But anyways, we're in the studio here, got some decent lighting on there. You can see that the ebonized areas did darken up some. It's still kind of a reddish tone, so I think that mostly that color came from the ebonizing fluid itself and less from the reaction. But even so, with the oil and wax finish on it, it did polish. It did get a nice shine on it. It still has that natural wood look and feel. It's just really light, and you can definitely feel the texture difference when you handle this versus one of the more dense woods that polishes up really nicely. But anyways, let's jump into the next wand. And I skipped ahead on the second wand. Obviously, the first part of the process is pretty much the same for this wand as the other one. If you want to watch it again, feel free to rewind it, but there's no need hashing out the first 5 minutes of the video, just watching me make things round. So we're gonna go straight into marking out the handle. I just put those lines on there generally to give me an idea about how much of a handle I want to put on it. It gives me some guidelines of where I want to put certain designs, so that I can work with that. And I usually only have a rough idea of the designs that I want to put on this when I start. So those lines just kind of give me a good rule of thumb on where I can make my different transition elements and stuff on the handle. If you are enjoying these videos, though, you don't have to pay to get notified. You can slide down and hit that subscribe button there and make sure that you ring that bell. And that way you'll get a notification anytime we post a new video. Still have one more special edition Aspen coming up, and then that all precious, really dark Gaboon ebony, the blackest wood that you can get. Do have some of those coming up here in the next couple weeks. So you definitely want to stay tuned for those. I tried to keep the handle on this one Fairly simple on this. I decided that because the wood is such a nice white pure wood, and the ebonizing fluid didn't have a super uh, big reaction with it, that keeping a nice plain white wand would be nice. So for this second one, we're just doing a plain white finish on it, and we're going to put in those friction burns, and that's going to be the only design work other than the shape. And that just I like the friction burns. I'll put that in almost all the wands, and it's just a good transitional design element, in my opinion. So we'll get this parted off here, and I'm always worried about parting off the tenon because you just never know when you remove that support on such a thin piece of wood, it can really go wonky on you. So we'll finish that up. We do a whole bunch of sanding on this, maybe not quite as much as some of the other woods because, like I said, doesn't really seem to react up past about a 320 to 500 grit. You don't really notice a whole lot. So, but we'll pull this out so you can kind of get a look at the finished wand, and then I'll go over and put a taper on it later. On the belt sander, you can always look at some of my other videos on how I do that. As you can see, really turned out pretty nice. Once you get the oil on it, it is a very thirsty wood. It sucks up a lot of oil, and of course that does kind of give it that darker, starting to kind of yellow a little bit. But overall, does really nice with an oil and wax finished. I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. So I hope that you liked the video as well and gave you a little information about Aspen if you're thinking about using it. But we're going to continue on with a special edition here in the near future. So I hope you'll come back and join us for that. And we appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. So we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.